Welcome to Kerr 9000's Horror House.
Okay, so this is a follow-up video about the Tales from the Crypt Presents Body Count, a film that almost was. So it's been quite a while since I've talked about this film, but recently I watched a table read of the script for another Tales from the Crypt film that was nearly made, and that is the table read for Dead Easy. This table read was great, but so were the other people listening to it. A whole bunch of us were typing away to each other and sharing info, and this helped me learn a fair few bits. Mostly thanks to two other YouTubers who were present and commenting. One was CryptTube Incorporated, and the other was Ian Barber. It's through them I learned that the potential film had another title, Redneck Frank, and that one of the writers had talked about it on a podcast. Well, I tracked that podcast down, and it was an episode of a podcast called Best Movies Never Made. And only around 5 minutes of one episode of this podcast, which was around an hour and 5 minutes long, was actually about body count. But this is info straight from the mouth of one of the writers, a guy called Adam Rifkin. Okay, so by learning to this podcast, I learned that Adam Rifkin, a film writer and director known for films such as Small Soldiers and Mouse Hunt, had worked with the awesome actor Bill Paxton on a film called The Dark Backward. Now, Paxton, who many people know from Aliens, knew what a big movie fan Rifkin was, and that Rifkin was a fan of a man named Walter Hill. And Paxton introduced Rifkin to Walter Hill, and basically Walter Hill was involved with the Tales from the Crypt series and the movies. And Walter suggested that he and Rifkin write a Tales from the Crypt movie together so it could be part of the Tales from the Crypt trilogy of movies, and that Rifkin would direct it. Walter took Rifkin to meet Joel Silver, who approved it. Walter Hill had some ideas for a story about a Frankenstein sort of thing. It was about a vigilante killer who was trying to clean up El Paso, Texas. He has a sidekick, and he was going into the scariest places, fighting crime, taking out bad guys in really violent ways, and during all of this you'd see him get shot and fall off buildings and yet never die. He'd fall off like really tall buildings and just get up and keep running and killing. And it would turn out that we'd learn that this vigilante had been a criminal in his past and had died in a crime gone wrong. But a secret government operation to make experimental soldiers had taken his body and reanimated it back to life in a Dr. Frankenstein-style lab, with a bunch of other experimental soldiers who were being created to be these expendable undead soldiers who would do the government's bidding. The soldiers were all supposed to be brainwashed into just following orders, but this vigilante had sparks of memory which caused him to remember who he was and to view the people who'd made him into an experimental soldier as bad people and break free of their influence. And he'd therefore go on his own vigilante mission to make up for all of the bad that he'd done in his life. His ultimate goal was going to be to go back to this lab and set the other soldiers free and kill the people who were behind turning him into a monster. It was apparently very close to getting made. The script was approved apparently while Bordello of Blood was being made. The title was changed by Joel Silver from Tales from the Crypt Presents Redneck Frank to Tales from the Crypt Presents Body Count. But it was because Bordello of Blood didn't perform financially well enough for the creator's satisfaction that Body Count was cancelled. So I guess one thing we've learned is that there was not a point in time where there was a real chance of the Tales of the Crypt trilogy consisting of Demon Knight, Dead Easy and Body Count, as Body Count was cancelled when Bordello of Blood, Dead Easy's replacement, was already partway through being made. I would love one day to either be able to sit down and read the most polished and finished copy of a Body Count script which exists, or to experience a table read. But I have to admit they would have to work very hard to try and come close to the wonderful table read that we got for Dead Easy. I also think that this sounds like it would have been a very action-packed film, so probably would be more full of long descriptions of scenes of violence and maybe not work quite as well as a radio-style play like Dead Easy did. Okay, so let's compare what I know now to what I said in my last video. In the older video, during my attempt at sleuthing, I originally read that the film was going to be about a young guy who while compiling clips for a documentary on violent crime, found out that his uncle had a dubious past. At the time, I guessed that maybe his uncle had been a serial killer. There were also rumours that his uncle was trying to resurrect the dead and somehow brought back a dead creature, which had a Rambo-type mind and went on a killing rampage, and that film would end with a massive shootout between the monster, law enforcement and the nephew. I often wondered if there was a complete script, but now I know there was. I talked in my original video on Body Count about how it was floating around that the script for the film was going to be produced by James Wong and Glenn Morgan, who were X-Files writers. Now I've found out who the script was by, this seems like it was totally untrue. But I guess it's interesting in and of itself how the urban legends and rumours grow and swirl around unfinished projects like this. It's also funny how, beyond the undead vigilante type character, a lot of the uncle related stuff just seems like total make-believe, but who knows? Some stuff could come from earlier scripts, but I guess the only way to really know is if someone was able to ask Alan Rifkin. But it could even have been the original idea for Hill before he got Rifkin involved. You know, it's hard to know these things. I've also been told that there was a comic book style cover design for Body Count by Mike Vosberg, but I've not been able to track this down anywhere at the moment. If somebody has links to it, I'd greatly appreciate seeing them. You know, it's hard. You think you might never get any more info in this film because what is there is sparse. But I'd pretty much given up on getting anything from Dead Easy, and look at the amazing table read we got. So I guess you just never know. Okay, it's Kerr9000, the Chrome Face Man. I'm going to end it here saying enjoy the horror movies, and of course, being the time of year it is, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Peace and love to all, man. Hi, it's Kerr9000. Thank you for checking out my video and for making it to the end. If you'd like to subscribe, then there'll be a little thing for you to click on right near the end, and you'll also see a link to one of my videos and one of my playlists. I make reviews of horror films, both modern and retro video game reviews, science fiction film reviews, and all kinds of other stuff. I even show off some of my collection. You can also find me on the Retro Gamer Unofficial Forum, which is a great place for retro gaming chat, and it keeps on growing every day. It's well worth checking out. Once again, thank you very much and have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye.